Hello class and welcome to week 10, the assignment videos. This video will be for the week 10 lab work 1 assignment. Please be sure to note you have 3 lab assignments to complete in week 10. This video is a high-level overview of lab work 1. For Lab 1, we're going to complete in the labs Lab 2, finding the optimal product mix. We're looking in your e-textbook at page EX614 to EX615. We're only completing steps 1 through 7. In order to begin this assignment, you will need to download the student data files, which we're looking for Lab 9-1, beverages. You'll find the student data files located in the Doc Sharing tab. You will then select on Student Data Files, and as you scroll down the list, you will then locate 9-2, Beverages Excel worksheet. You'll need to download and save that Excel document. Next, you'll want to open up your e-textbook because you're reminded that I am just covering a high-level overview and you still have accountability to go through your textbook and verify the steps. So I'm going to navigate to page EX614. And here I know we're completing Lab 2. We just discussed downloading the student files, and now you can read the problem statement, where Beverages sells beverages in single cans, 6-packs, and 12-packs to convenience stores and grocery stores. So now they're expanding and they want to go into a big national chain big box store. And they have 58 square feet of shelf space. Of course, they want to optimize that shelf space to ensure that they showcase the 3 configurations of singles, 6-packs, and 12-packs. So they want to obviously seek to maximize profit as best they can. So that's the objective of this assignment. You'll see here table 9-4, which we're going to now work with. And in our Excel file of what we downloaded from the student data files, we need to enter in the data that we see here in our table. So in our table, and I will move this over, and now I can kind of split the screen a little bit here for you to see. When I look at profit per item, I can see that outlined right here in my e-textbook. The profit for single cans, for 6-packs, and for 12-packs. So for singles, I'll simply just transfer that data in on each one of these cells as outlined in table 9-4. Now the next thing I'm looking at is space taken in square feet. Again, you'll see that here in your e-textbook where I have for single cans the space. I will enter that value in now. And then for 12-packs, 6-packs, and then for 12-packs. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, in our spreadsheet, the optimal number of each item. We're looking at, here's the constraints. So for single cans, it's 50, and 6-packs is 30, and 12-packs is 30. Now you'll see that my values have updated here in my totals. The next step that we're going to complete, we've already done 1 because we have our worksheet open. 2, we just completed 2 by using table 9-4. Now we're looking at step number 3. We're using Solver to determine the mix of items so we can maximize our profit. And also looking at what our constraints are as far as the square footage and the shelf space that we have available to us. So we're going to use Solver, and you'll find that that information is in figure 9-93, where it will show the values. When we do use Solver, we will save that scenario. We'll rename the answer report and save it as maximum profit 1. Well, don't worry, I want to show you that in just a moment. And you'll see here in this table, I don't know about you, but I needed a magnifying glass. So if you're following with this video, you'll be able to clearly see it as I walk through it with you, unless you want to get out your magnifying glass. So back to Excel. When we are in Excel, we're looking at the Solver tool. Well, that's located in the Data tab. To the far, far right, there's a panel called Analysis. But you may not have this Analysis panel. And if not, you need to add it. And I'll show you how to do that. To add the Solver Analysis tool, you need to click on the File tab. In the File tab, we're going to locate and select Options. When Excel Options dialog box opens, we're going to select Add-ins. Once we select Add-ins, at the bottom where we see Manage Excel Add-ins, we're just going to make sure that's what it says in this pull-down box, Manage Excel Add-ins, and I'll select Go. Now you want to make sure that the Solver add-in is checked and turned on. Once you check it and have it on and select OK, it will then appear in your Data tab. All the way at the far right, you'll now have the Solver Analysis tool. So as we go back into our assignment for that first step, when I click on the Solver tool, this will allow me to play with some of the parameters and information and sort of get different results. Again, it can do a lot of the work for me. The range that I'm looking at is I'm looking at profits, which is, as we see here, in row 10. So ultimately, I am looking at the total of my profit. That's what really matters at the end of the day. And that total profit I see is in cell E10. So my objective that I'm working on is in E10. Now, the cells that I'm going to be changing the variables of, well, quite simply, we're looking at in row number 8. What my optimal number is. What my optimal number is will ultimately affect my total profit per item. And when I don't want to select that, sorry. So I ultimately am looking at in row 8, I want to ultimately be playing and adjusting these variables in row 8. So they're the variable cells that I want to be changing. So I'm looking at B8, and I'm also looking at C8 and D8. So I'm going to put a colon in between the two. And again, that's not a semicolon, it's a colon. That's 2 dots, one above each other, just making sure. And I'm going to make that range go all the way to D8. So I have B8 to D8, which means my range is B8, C8, D8. Now I need to add the constraints. And this is what I was talking about in your e-textbook in that chart. Oh, it's very hard to see unless you get out a magnifying glass. So I'm going to work through that with you by first selecting the Add button. So when I select Add, my cell reference to begin with is, well, I know in this first problem I'm looking at E11. E11 here is my total square footage that I've used. And I want to make sure that E11 is going to be less than or equal to, and my square footage amount per the e-textbook, remember it said in the problem I have 58 square feet of shelf space. So I have added that one, and my next cell reference is going to be, I'm looking at B8, And I want to see that BA is going to be, greater than or equal to, and in BA, that's 50. See that here. And I'm going to add another one in my cell reference. Of course, we're looking at C8. And for C8, I am looking at, I need that to be a number that's going to be less than or equal to 30. And I'll add that and say OK. Oops, I meant to continue. And so I need to continue adding because I need to put in D8. And D8, I'm going to make that at 30. Now I can say OK. I am back to the parameter solver window. For selecting a solving method, there's a pull-down arrow, and you want to make sure that you have the simplex LP as your solving method. Once I click on Solve, I have results returns, and I see that I have reports. Right now I'm looking at my answer report, and you can read here, creates the type of report that you specify and places each report on a separate sheet in the workbook. So I'll say OK. You'll see I just added a tab here, and this gives me my report based on those variables from Solver that I did. So I now need to rename this sheet, and what am I renaming it to? For the assignment directions, I'm calling it Maximum Profit 1. So I'll name this Maximum Profit 1. And then I'll continue on. And as I continue on, we're looking at step 4, another scenario. And in step 4, as we go through that scenario, I fast forwarded a page. I am looking at 12 packs being set to 30. So I really just need to run Solver again a second time. Remember, I have now 2 tabs, my maximum profit, which was my first one, and I have my original beverages tab. So I'm going to go back there. And so now I am going to go back to Solver again, which is on the Data tab. And this time for the Solver, because I'm looking at 12 packs being maxed out, so here I need my 12 packs is in D8, right? So I need to select D8, and then I am going to change that. So my constraint is different for the new criteria, and I'll select OK. Now I can solve. Again, I can select in reports to answer, which it will go on a new sheet, say OK, and now I have my second report. You can see my original value, my final value. On the first one, you can see my original value and final value. I need to now name this sheet here. I think it's, I'm just going to shortcut it, Maximum Profit 2. You'll want to type it out because, again, this video is just a high-level overview just to show you the basics of loading and using that solver analysis. So then ultimately impacts and updates my original sheet. So in this assignment, I'm now left with 3 tabs. I have Maximum Profit 1, Maximum Profit 2, with my criteria, which I modified here on the second one. And then I have my original sheet where I filled in the data from my e-textbook from the chart here of 9-4. As we go look at the next step here, you'll want to create a scenario summary, and you're going to change the name of the store in cell A2 from Big Box Store, and you're going to want to modify that so it's your information. So make sure you modify, and complete step 5, and you modify step 6. And of course, you're going to save your work. And after you save your work, as always, upload it to Dropbox and be very careful. You want to upload it to the week 10 basket for lab 1. Remember, there's 3 lab assignments in week 10, so this is one of 3. And that's the high-level overview.